Are you not entertained?
Check 1 2 1 2. Is this on? What's happening, world? I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Welcome to the Genesis, the beginning, the start of what is going to be a great journey on this channel. Welcome to episode 1 of the Are You Not Entertained podcast, hosted by yours truly, Dylan Masvidal. Yep, it's finally time that I put my voice out there, my ideas, my passions, my peaceful frustrations at some of the things that, have made me the laughingstock of a lot of functions that I've been to. And I thought, what better way to kick it off than by doing a sort of review on Night of Champions 2023. Yep, WWE's second home of Saudi Arabia. They do this pay-per-view every year, and I just thought, why not? Why not let it fly? Why not talk about things I liked, things I didn't like, and hopefully positive change that the company could be going to in the near future. So let me just give you some logistics just to start it off, though. Obviously, Night of Champions took place this year at the Jeddah Superdome in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. From what I've heard, or from what I've read, the attendance was around 13,000 people. Sadly, Cristiano Ronaldo was not there. He was not one of the people in attendance, so it doesn't look like we're going to be getting that Roman Reigns match at SummerSlam anytime soon. But I digress. Regardless, I think an important thing to talk about for this pay-per-view, as I watched it on, the Peacock app, is there was a pretty solid Triple H hype package. He narrates over these, clips of all the WWE champions, whether it's Gunther or Bianca Belair or obviously Roman Reigns. And he says one line specifically that really stands out to me, I really like. He goes, being a champion is more than a way of life. It is your life. Gotta say, pretty fire. And it kind of deserves the first use of my soundboard. There you go. Thank you. Your opening match for this Night of Champions 23 pay-per-view? It's a barn burner. Rollins, Styles. Yep, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles for the Raw World Heavyweight Championship. Now, I've been on record as saying on Twitter and also writing on my Medium that this still feels like a consolation prize. And I'm not saying that this match completely changed my mind, but it certainly did some, persuasion. Because they've been marketing this title as this sort of it's a workhorse title. So it's going to be a title that whoever holds it, they're going to be defending it night in, night out. There's not going to be 3 months before the next defense, and you're going to be having, banger after banger after banger. And I got to say, if this match in particular is, foreshadowing of what's to come, I'm sold entirely. You talk about workhorses, this is Seth Rollins, this Pegasus, glorious Pegasus of a wrestler, going against a wild stallion in AJ Styles. And you could tell from the beginning, especially Styles' facial expression, his entrance, that he was there with something to prove. I'm sure that they, wanted to main event the whole thing. They probably wanted to go last. But I think opening with them was very solid. It was a great choice because you want the people to understand the importance of this. And I've always been someone to say that, the opener of a pay-per-view is probably the most underrated aspect, or it could be arguably the most important part of the pay-per-view, because you have to get people excited. You got to get them, out of their seat. And, the easiest way to do that is to get these two, at this point, legends of professional wrestling, and just put on a masterpiece. They had an empty canvas. And they said, I'm going to paint over here. And then he painted over that. And then, Styles with the brainbuster on the hardest part of the ring, the apron. I'm going to do a little bit of a, a Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel over here. And then Rollins said, no. I'm going to hit you with the reverse suplex into a curtain call. And I'm going to do a Norman Rockwell over here. You know what I'm saying? I think you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. It was a great match. It was arguably the best match Styles and Rollins have had in a while. And I mean, these guys, they're always going to give you a good match, regardless of what it is. But when you have these two, like I said, legends who are going to have instant chemistry with each other, I'm sure they've wrestled before. I hope I'm not wrong on that. And let's be honest, with a little bit of pressure, because no one was expecting this match to be bad. But at the same time, I don't know if people entirely bought it being, as good as it was, because you have a lot of naysayers now with Rollins, he's starting to go into Hollywood a bit. He's gonna be part of the new Captain America New World Order movie, and people are like, oh, he's selling out, so some people are already kind of shooting down any possibility of his title run being as good as it can be. And you also have Styles coming back from injury, people saying he's getting older, he might be washed. If you still believe that after this match, I don't know what to tell you. Go to PDQ, get yourself a nice chicken sandwich, and wake up. Seriously. I have nothing more else to say about it. I think it was easily the best match of the night. And that's not to say that the rest of the pay-per-view is like, big drop in quality. I'm just saying that, how are you going to top Rollins versus Styles in your opening match? I think that gets, out of me. That's the same reaction I made after the match ended. And, Triple H handing Rollins the title was a very nice touch. Obviously, they're very linked in WWE, with NXT and then the Authority, and obviously the WrestleMania match. It's very much a, Scorsese, De Niro thing going on there, which I've always liked as well. So after that opening match, you had, following up coincidentally with Seth Rollins' wife and the man in the relationship, get it? Becky Lynch versus WWE Hall of Famer, women's revolutionary, Trish Stratus. Now, the build for this match, I was a fan of. I did really like heel Trish Stratus. I'm sure any Trish Stratus fan, including myself, can tell you that at her best, Trish Stratus is a heel at heart. She can be very pompous in a great way to get you to dislike her, and she's very solid on the microphone. So, great promos to lead up to this match. Becky Lynch, the whole "where's Becky Lynch" disappearing. I thought her appearing out of nowhere behind her was very cool. But even then, I'll tell you that I knew this wasn't going to be the only match, considering that you do have SummerSlam down the line. But for what we got, I don't think it was, necessarily great, but I don't think it was bad either. I'm kind of neutral on this one. Because on one hand, I think Trish kind of proved again that she can really hold her own in the ring. She did a very nice head scissors on Becky Lynch outside of the ring, which I thought was cool. And she hit a spine buster, which I was genuinely surprised. I don't know if she's ever done that before, but I thought it looked good. And, Becky Lynch is Becky Lynch. She's, one of the best women wrestlers in the world right now, and you tell her to go put on a good match with whoever, she's going to do it. There's no surprise about that. But I'll say that throughout the match, there are a lot of, it definitely feels like a brawl, but there is some downtime that I wasn't the biggest fan of. And I was kind of leaning towards not liking it until that last leg. I think they really do kick it into a good, a solid gear into that, last 5 minutes where, a lot of stuff is happening. They're, just brawling. They're, but it feels like they're hitting, good moves against each other. And then, obviously, that Becky Lynch manhandle slam on the corner and then Trish grabs the rope was a cool moment. However, like I said, this is not necessarily it's not going to be their last match together whatsoever, because then you have Zoe Stark coming from under the ring and hitting a great K360, really good finishing move on Becky Lynch, throwing her back in, and then obviously Trish Stratus gets the win. It's a good choice. It's a good choice to pair up Zoe Stark with Trish Stratus. If there's one thing people have been complaining about regarding Zoe Stark, it's the fact that she doesn't have a lot of personality. And that's, she was in NXT for a reason, still developing that. And I think when it comes to how good she is as a wrestler, that's, no debate. But you got to develop, some mic skills. You got to develop something. I think Trish Stratus is the perfect person for that. So it's a great pairing. I wonder how that's going to, I'm interested in seeing how that goes into their future matches. I think they might have a match for Money in the Bank, or maybe Becky fights Zoe Stark instead, and then she fights Trish at SummerSlam. We'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I think this match for Night of Champions was just all right. Could have been better, but I understand why it wasn't. It was cool. I do want to point out too that Corey Graves, who I know some people don't love on commentary, I personally have always been a big fan of him because of, Corey Graves has mastered, that one line. Like, he will hit you with one very subtle, very good line that you will remember for the entire pay-per-view. And on this Night of Champions, he does mention, him and Michael Cole are talking about how, oh, Trish Stratus, she shouldn't have to come back. Why is she doing this? She's already proven herself. And Corey goes, well, Trish Stratus, she doesn't have to stay on Twitter, or not Twitter, but they just say, complain online, on the internet, whatever, and just never, do anything about it. She does something about it. And without saying it explicitly, he is very much referencing Medusa on Twitter, the former WWF champion who took the WWF title and then went to WCW, dropped in the trash can. She is pretty vocal on Twitter, talking about how Trish Stratus is ruining women's wrestling again and how she was the best and, yada, yada, yada. To each their own, I guess. But, yeah, moving on from that, we have a match that people already knew the outcome going in because it couldn't be more obvious. But I'd say pleasantly surprised. Yeah, that's right. Gunther versus Mustafa Ali for the Intercontinental title. Now, Ali has had a sort of resurgence. All of a sudden, he's doing the whole positive Ali thing, which I kind of like. I do think he works well as this, not naive per se, but kind of like this grin, like smiling from ear to ear baby face, who's just, he goes in every match and he just puts his heart out there, and then, leaves it all in the ring, and then if he wins, he wins. If he loses, he loses. I do like that. I do think that I've always been a Mustafa Ali fan as well, solely because, his ability in the ring is very, very good. And Gunther is Gunther. He's the ring general. He gives that look. It's a kind of look that stares you deep in your soul and doesn't let go. Sorry, give me a second. Just the thought of that made me a little nervous, a little scared. Regardless, he is a phenomenal Intercontinental Champion, and everyone knows, all the wrestling fans out there who are paying attention are not even doubting the fact that Gunther is 100% going to beat the Honky Tonk Man's Intercontinental Championship record. He's going to become the newest, longest reigning champion of all time. But you do have Ali starting the match off, getting some moves in. He's not necessarily, he's getting walloped a bit, but he's also, especially near the middle part, he's getting some good moves in. He gets a very nice DDT, and then he does that 450, and then you think, oh, maybe, like out of nowhere, who knows? And he doesn't win it. But then, right after, he kind of gets a similar run, and then you think he's going to hit another 450, and then obviously Gunther moves out of the way and hits a devastating powerbomb, which I'm glad that he's finishing matches like that again, because that Emerald Flosion move isn't the worst looking finisher, but I don't know. I know a lot of people are mad that a lot of big men use powerbombs to finish the match, but what else can they do? You know what I mean? Like, there's only so many moves people at that stature can do that hasn't already been done before, or that looks, that looks like it can kill you. And trust me, Gunther's powerbomb looks like it can kill you. I thought it was a great finish, and I was very surprised that when Gunther hit those two, just like career-ending lariats that Ali kicked out, I think in a way that was a little bit of protection for Ali, because usually Gunther's ended matches with lariats. He beat Sheamus with the lariat. So I was very happy to see that that's not how Ali went out, and I think Ali gave a truly like that kind of like that 1-2-3 kid against Razor Ramon performance, just without winning, but he did give that kind of performance. And especially in Saudi Arabia, I thought it was like a very nice thing to give Ali that time to shine. So, very much like how, oh my god, I'm blanking. Oh, like Selena Vega at Backlash, like giving that kind of hometown hero that time to shine. I did enjoy that a lot. It wasn't Same thing with Selena Vega. It wasn't, the winning that really got everyone excited, but it was just her being there and her getting that chance. Same thing with Ali, just getting that chance, putting in a valiant effort, but ultimately losing. It's a tried and true formula, but it works, and I think the match was a pleasant surprise for sure. Gunther versus Ali, I enjoyed it. I did. Now we're going on to the match that personally I did not love, but the ending really makes up for it, and that is Asuka versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's title. So I was a little surprised by this because on one hand, Belair already beat Asuka, so the fact that they brought her back again to feud with her, it was a choice that I was a little confused by because I would have thought maybe they just would have picked another opponent. Like, I think, my guess is I think they wanted Dakota to fight Bianca, like, again, but I did hear she got injured, and maybe they already knew about that beforehand, so they probably wanted Asuka to feud with her again. But on the other hand, I'm not mad that Asuka's getting another chance because it's Asuka. She's taking on that Great Muta, Poison Mist, paying homage to that, which I love personally. I've always been a big fan of the Poison Mist. Tajiri's was super cool as well. And like I said before, it's Asuka, and she's doing Joker Asuka now, or that's what she did in New Japan. And I think it's kind of taking the same thing again, bringing it to WWE. And these are two great wrestlers. So their WrestleMania match was solid. It was fairly good, and I think their Night of Champions match was honestly a little worse. Not for any clear cut reason. I'd say that the biggest issue with their match at Night of Champions this year was more that it never felt like they, dove into it. It felt like they were kind of keeping it they were playing it safe, keeping it clean for honestly the whole match until that last sequence. They never went to third gear. They were just doing some of their classic, their moves, some of their usual moveset. And that's fine. I think you can do those moves, but I think you can do those moves and feel like there's more oomph to it. And I think with this match there wasn't that oomph. There wasn't that little a little extra pizzazz that makes you go, "Whoa, this is the Raw Women's title match. This is really good. This is going somewhere." I felt like that. I mean, I felt that feeling when Bianca fought Io Sky at a Backlash. I thought that match was really good, and it was, their chemistry was unparalleled. I think they worked super well together, and it felt like there was something there, something extra. With Asuka and Belair, I didn't necessarily feel that, really, and it would have, soiled the match for me entirely. However, looking at the finish, maybe that was intentional because Asuka won the match. She has ended Belair's reign as Raw Women's Champion. Belair had her in the KOD. Asuka used the Poison Mist before, but then had a little bit more, so she spit it in her hand and then wiped Belair's face with it, which I thought was actually pretty cool. I thought that was a cool finish. I haven't seen that before. And then she gets. I'm not the biggest fan of ending it with two kicks. At least I feel like there should have been a little bit more. It didn't look as devastating. I feel maybe maybe Asuka could have done something with a little more juice. I don't know, the head scissors DDT or something. I don't know. Or maybe just a couple more kicks. But, one kick to the back of the head, Belair's done, and shocks the Saudi Arabia crowd a little bit. The Jeddah Superdome, they didn't react most of the match, sadly, but I think near the end they kind of did because they just saw Bianca Belair, aside from Roman, the most dominant champion in the company, and she lost. And Asuka is Raw Women's Champion once again. It's, in my opinion, I think it is a great choice because if you want me to be completely honest, this is exactly what Bianca Belair needed for her character. Now, I've always been a fan of Bianca Belair in the ring and outside of the ring. I think she can cut a very valiant babyface promo, and she's proven herself multiple times that she can be the face, and she should be the face of your women's division. However, for the past couple of months, on the promo side of things, on the character side of things, she has been getting a little stale. And I don't mean stale as if like she's lost like an edge to her or she's lost promo ability, but it's almost like when people would complain about Cena's promos, during the starting to get into the PG era in 2010 or around that time, where they said like, oh, he's just saying the same thing and he's being kind of like drywall. But if there's one thing I think people kind of forget about Cena, even at his and this is coming from a John Cena mark like myself, even at Cena's worst with promos, which I do think is probably 2015 with the U.S. title, because some of them were just very, those are very cut and paste. I'm not saying he didn't have good promos in 2015, and honestly 2015 is a top 3 Cena year as a whole, because of just how many classics, 5-star classics he was putting on in the ring with, and putting people over. At his worst there, the problem with Cena in 2015 was that he was, doing the whole cut and paste thing. But in other years, Cena still had that ruthless aggression about him, where it felt like at any moment, he could snap and just straight up kill his opponent. I know that's weird for me to say as a the babyface John Cena. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna rip his opponent limb from limb, but he kind of showed that, especially early in his championship. From 2005, 2007, he had some great hardcore matches. I mean, his match with JBL at Judgment Day was a battle, to say the least. It was a bloody, just violent brawl. His match with, obviously, his RVD match wasn't they weren't bleeding buckets, but it was pretty hardcore. His TLC match with Edge was out there, and I do really like that match as well. And who can forget his match with Umaga at the Royal Rumble, the Last Man Standing match. That's one of the best last man standing matches of all time. It's just that extra, extra aggression, that visceral energy that Cena had, that I think Belair needs, and I think Asuka can bring that out of her. Because the biggest the biggest thing in the storyline was that every time Asuka would do the poison mist, Belair would go into this weird, she would just become very manic and paranoid, frenzied. She'd start crying and losing it, and she sells that really well. Obviously she's Bianca Belair, she's great at what she does, and she sold it really well after this Night of Champions match as well. And I think that this is what was needed to get Bianca to this point where she's always been tough, but just give her that tough as nails, see Asuka later down the line, or whoever else she fights, and she just comes out and puts them through a table, or I don't know, gets a kendo stick and just goes all out. Something like that, where people can go, all right, Bianca Belair is no longer WWE's PG babyface. She now she's officially become, you don't even want to look in her direction babyface. And she fights for the people, but she will also lay you out cold. That kind of babyface, and I think that's what Bianca needs. Or this is another option, they can make her a heel, which in NXT Bianca was a heel for some time, and she was good at it. She had that kind of cockiness about her, that arrogance that worked really well. So whichever way they want to go, it's just, this was needed. It's a rejuvenation of the character that is Bianca Belair, the wrestler that is Bianca Belair, and I think it was needed. So I think this was a good choice, especially if you're going to give the belt to anyone, you give it to Asuka, because she's going to give you great matches, and she's a veteran. She's already proven herself multiple times before. So, match itself, not my favorite, but good choice for the ending. Now we have a match that I don't know if anyone expected it to go this way. I certainly didn't expect it to go this way. But you have Rhea Ripley versus Natalya for the SmackDown Women's Championship. A match that's almost like the when you're a women's champion, this is the bingo card thing. Every SmackDown Women's Champion has to fight Natalya at least once in their, reign, regardless of when it is during the year, but they just have to, at least one time. And it's Ripley's turn now to fight Natalya. The build hasn't necessarily been great, And I think WWE was aware of this because, you know, they come out, they do their cool entrances, you know, Rhea Ripley, this is my brutality. I like it, by the way. It's a very good theme song. Natalya coming out classic. Bret Hart. You know, God, what a goat. Just gotta say that. Every time I say his name, you gotta pay your respects to that man. You know, he is great. I hope he's doing good right now. I hope he's like enjoying like a really good, was it poutine, the Canadian meal? Like where it's just, yeah. I just hope he's eating that and he's having a great time. So they do their whole entrances. They come out and immediately Dominic obviously comes out with Ripley, distracts Natalya. Ripley throws her out of the ring, throws her against the steel steps, and then comes in, does the riptide, and wins the match. Yes, you heard me right. They squash Natalya on her birthday. Oh my god. I'm sorry, this is just a... Yeah. That's so sad. And this one I'm 50-50 on too. Because like I'm trying to sympathize with Natalya here. Because she's, you know, a veteran, you know, she's done what she's done in WWE and she's done it well. And everyone loves Natalya. You know, at the end of the day, whether people don't like that she keeps getting a title match every year, knowing that she's not going to win, you know, it's Natalya. You know, how could you not, you know, give her due, you know, let her know, hey, Natalya, thank you for what you've done for, you know, the women's division in WWE. But I'm not mad, you know, I'm not entirely mad that she got squashed because Ripley needs to be fighting against, or like, as so far in Ripley's title defenses, you know, let's start from the beginning a little bit. So she puts on an incredible match with Charlotte Flair, night one of WrestleMania 39. A match that people say should have main evented that night. And, you know, you can argue that, yeah, it should have, because that match, in terms of, like, in-ring, like the Usos and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens match, in terms of storytelling, deserve to be a main event. But in terms of in-ring work, I do say, undoubtedly, that Ripley and Charlotte Flair match was outstanding. It's one of the best women's matches in WWE that I've seen in a long time. Seriously, I say that wholeheartedly. So she wins it in tremendous fashion. Then she defends it against Zelina Vega, which, you know, it was a quick match. It was nice. It was more of a moment to give to Zelina, but Ripley still won, that kind of thing. And, you know, just to give Puerto Rico, like, someone to root for aside from Bad Bunny. And then you have her fight Natalya, which we already know isn't going to lead to Ripley dropping the title. So everyone's kind of like, oh, like, we have to sit through this match, and, you know, we're going to know exactly what's going to happen. I think the squashing Natalya, like Ripley, you know, squashing Natalya so fast, is a ballsy move that I defend it, because I think that's crazy that they would do that, like, oh, this quick, and it only legitimizes Ripley as champion. Like, it reminds people that Rhea Ripley is a dominant champion, and the person that's going to beat Ripley, whoever it is, whether they get Belair to eventually do it, or someone else, like, you know, maybe they get Raquel Rodriguez, someone, you know, it's gonna have to be like a real fight. Like, they have to be just ready. Like, they have to be about it. However, me personally, I have never liked squash matches on pay-per-views. I've always disliked that very much. I don't know why you would book a squash match on a pay-per-view. Like, that's very much like a TV thing. Like, that's like a second hour of Raw. Let's get Omos out there, and he can squash John Doe in 10 seconds, and he does his double choke bomb. You know, I don't... And the fact that it was Natalya's birthday. So they squashed Natalya on her birthday, and it's a SmackDown Women's Championship match, and it's on pay-per-view. It's a lot. I do kind of feel like maybe WWE is giving Natalya the Raw deal there. No pun intended. But I would have liked this a lot more if maybe it was on SmackDown, like the night before they do it, and then maybe I don't want to say don't put Ripley on the card, but I don't know, get someone else that maybe can be a longer match. I don't know. Booking is hard. Trust me, it's not easy. So I can't give you a definitive answer. But yeah, I'm kind of split on this one. Like every other match, like the matches before this Ripley and Natalya match, I enjoyed the decision, and I was like, okay, these decisions make sense. I like them. This one, I'm split. Like, I am pretty split on this one, and I think I will be until I see where Ripley's run takes her as champion. All right, let's move on to the match, or should I say, the rivalry that has slowly won me over, like very slowly. This is like tortoise in the hare, like just baby steps won me over. And that has been the Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar tussle. Yeah, as you guys all know, I was in shambles. I think that's the right way to put it. I was defeated. I was crying in a corner. Like, I'm already at a loss for words just thinking about that night when Cody Rhodes had the perfect opportunity to become the people's champion, literally and figuratively, beat Roman Reigns for the undisputed, he's the undisputed champion, but for both the Universal title and the WWE title, and then just, you guys know how the story goes, becomes the man. Finishes the story, quote unquote. And it didn't happen, and now we're doing this, right? Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar. To play devil's advocate here, give them the benefit of the doubt, it has been a very entertaining, and I've become immersed in this rivalry. I would probably like it a lot more if this was Cody's first rivalry as champion. I think it would make a lot more sense, because it would not just put Cody over as champion, but kind of give people that oh no, is WWE gonna put the belt back on Lesnar and make them nervous? A very funny he beat Reigns, but let's not forget that the real the real hand-picked champion by Vince McMahon loves to go to is Brock Lesnar. I feel like that would be kind of like Triple H going, don't worry guys, this is a new era, we're ushering in this period in WWE where we're gonna hear what the people want, and we're gonna give it to him, and Rhodes is gonna stay as champion. But they didn't go that route, and now we have just Cody versus Lesnar. This is sort of Cody's proving ground. A lot of people are comparing it to Cena losing after WrestleMania 28, which in my opinion not the best comparison, because Cena didn't lose to The Rock for the WWE Championship. He just went on sort of it was more of just like a spiritual journey. With Rhodes, obviously you could compare it to, coincidentally enough, his dad, Dusty, and how he was trying to get the belt from Flair, and this whole thing, the hard time storyline. And that was great when it happened. Back in the 80s, WCW NWA was awesome. But Reigns has been champion for 3 years now. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Now, their match at Backlash, Cody Rhodes and Lesnar. It was quick. It was funny. It was the best kind of melodrama, my favorite kind of melodrama in wrestling. And it ended with Cody pinning Lesnar. Lesnar had the Kimura. Cody, kind of does lifts up a little bit, pins Brock's shoulders to the ground, and then, walks away as the victor. And then leading up to this Night of Champions match, Brock was very angry. He was really angry. He wasn't Brock Lesnar. He was Bork Laser. That's how angry he was. He cost Rhodes a spot in the Raw World Heavyweight Championship tournament. He breaks his arm. Or Cody, if you watch the Raw, where I think Brock, it looked like I don't know, it was weird. It's just a container, it looked like a keg stand almost. Breaks his arm, and then Cody literally it's chilling, but it's also really funny the scream that Cody lets out, he's like just the best at, he understands melodrama, and he understands that wrestling is the perfect outlet for melodrama, because all the storylines are very soap opera like, and you have to play up that, you really have to play up that just like this over the top feel to wrestling. It's when it's at its best, in my opinion. But Cody says, no, I'm gonna fight with this broken arm. I'm gonna fight Lesnar at Night of Champions. I'm gonna win because I'm Cody Rhodes. Whoa, all that stuff. The match itself, better than the Backlash match. I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit. They didn't do this sort of like, Lesnar dominates the entire time and then Rhodes does a babyface comeback. They didn't do that Backlash either, but this one they kind of did it even less. It actually felt like it was equal footing, like 50-50. I thought it was a great choice for Cody to use what they said was a titanium cast to just bash Lesnar on the head with it multiple times. I don't know how that's not a disqualification, but hey, sometimes suspension of disbelief, right? It's already pro wrestling, so just let that one slide too. It's totally fine. And he hit his moves. Cody Cutter will never not be so nice to look at. And Lesnar doing his usual suplexes, hitting an F5. Cody kicked out, which I thought was nice. And Cody hitting 3 crossroads, and Lesnar still kicked out. I don't know how I feel about that, because I think that that's the magic number when it comes to crossroads. Like, Cody's first match here in WWE was against Rollins at WrestleMania 38, and he hits 3 to beat Rollins there, and I just thought like that was going to be the thing. Like, when Cody is fighting like a worthy adversary, 3 is the magic number for the crossroads. Once you hit that third one, you win the match. And I think Lesnar I understand it's Brock Lesnar, Bork Laser. He can kick out of 7 of them, and it works because it's Brock. But at the same time, I think it kind of buries the finisher a little bit. But maybe in their next match, well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But yeah, Lesnar eventually gets Cody in the Kimura. But Cody, the valiant babyface he is, the man destined to be, to quote CM Punk here, the voice of the voiceless. He doesn't tap out. He just passes out. And Lesnar ties up the series 1-1. At the time that I'm recording this, Raw just went down last night, and Cody has issued another challenge to Brock. I think the best way to go about this is you give them a Hell in a Cell match at Money in the Bank. Cody wins. Keyword wins. And then you get Cody and Reigns. SummerSlam, Cody wins, and we finally have a changing of the guard. But that's my fantasy booking. It most likely will not happen, considering that I think they want Reigns to still be champion by WrestleMania 40, from what I've heard. But I want to be proven wrong. I've written about this whole undisputed title reign fiasco, and I really want to be proven wrong. Triple H, he so far as a booker for WWE, I've always loved him. What he did for NXT, what he's doing now, for the most part, I've liked just about everything, and I think that he can prove me wrong. I really do. But hey, I don't work there, so I can't say. I just hope that's what happens. But Cody Rhodes versus Lesnar, it was as good of a Lesnar match in 2023 as you're gonna get, and Cody's at the top of his game, so he's gonna be about it. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. And now we go on to the last match. The match that, in terms of storyline, has everyone just a little on their toes, because people are a little on the edge recently with this whole bloodline stuff. Because, first of all, well, let me just say the match. I'm sure people... sorry, I didn't say it already. I got a little ahead of myself. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, undisputed tag team titles versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Now, Kevin and Sami had an incredible, triumphant victory at WrestleMania 39. They defeated the Usos. They exposed the cracks in the bloodline reign. The Usos are no longer on the island of relevancy. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeat the Usos, become the new undisputed tag team titles, and the Usos, Jay and Jimmy, they're no longer in, the Tribal Chief's good graces. They tried to take the titles back on SmackDown. They lose that match too. And now Kevin and Sami are sitting comfortably knowing that, hey, I think we put this to rest. We put this to bed. We don't have to deal with these guys anymore. But Roman finally came back and he goes, no. I got my buddy Solo here and we're going to challenge you for the tag team titles at Night of Champions. And instantly there's a lot of, it's like the, Metal Gear Solid. the exclamation mark. Like, huh? What? No, this can't be. Could WWE really give Reigns the tag team titles as well as the WWE and Universal titles? And yeah, looking back on it now, I think we were being a little, just a little too paranoid about it. But it was definitely a valid question at the time because who knows? Who knows if the WWE wants to prolong this bloodline storyline even more and just kind of like maybe reset it a little bit and then have another downfall. But me being a little I am whining a little bit about it, because I'm still so mad about that decision on night 2 of WrestleMania 39. Whatever, being as objective as possible here, this storyline has still been it's been really, really awesome. It's probably the best storyline in all of professional wrestling right now. It's just the most emotionally invested I've been, and I think so many wrestling fans, whether you're WWE, AEW, New Japan, TNA, it's just been phenomenal, right? So anything that they do with that Bloodline storyline, people are going to watch, people are going to pay attention. And if you think I'm exaggerating, just check their views on YouTube, check their views on Twitter, check their views on Instagram. I think even people outside of WWE are noticing what's going on with this, and it's been really awesome, really cool to see. So the Usos are mad. They're mad that Reigns isn't kind of Jimmy's more mad. Jay's just a little disappointed. And on the SmackDown before Night of Champions, Jimmy says, and I quote, he says, "I'm the Tribal Chief," and he doesn't, instead of posing with the bloodline, he just sits in the corner. So they tease that. They go, okay, what's going to happen at Night of Champions? Owens and Sami come out. Great. Well, first, obviously, Reigns and Solo are the challengers, so they come out first. And then Owens and Sami come out. It's really cool. Sami introduces Owens and himself as tag team champions in Arabic, which I thought was a really cool touch since they are, in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And, Paul Heyman obviously is the one that introduces Reigns and Solo. I feel bad for the ring announcer there, but hey, you got to take advantage when you can, And let me just set the record straight once again, because I already did in my article, but I'm going to do it one more time. I think Roman Reigns is still an incredible wrestler. He did his thing. He's been doing his thing as champion. Would I prefer he not be champion anymore? Yes, but I don't think that means that devalues everything he's done before WrestleMania 39. He's been incredible. He's been the face of the company. He carried the company through COVID. He's his presence is very magnetized. You want to just see everything that he's doing. You're drawn to him because he's a very good heel. And in this match, especially, he does this classic trash talking thing where he's talking to the fans. He makes jokes that because he speaks loud, so the camera obviously picks it up. He gives off this very Reese energy from Cobra Kai. Kreese, John Kreese. Sorry, I get confused sometimes. So Kreese, it's very much like this demeanor where no mercy. You strike first, and you kick a man while you're down. And I think Reigns gives that energy off so well in this match, and how he's been as a heel, before. It's not him that I have a problem with necessarily. It's the fact that WWE won't go, okay, it's time, let's get someone else to take over. But again, I digress. The match itself, classic tried and true tag team championship formula. Solo and Reigns are in control for a majority of the match. Then you have Owens and Sammy, do their big comeback. And, as a team, they're great, and also their moves individually are awesome. Sammy's going to do his exploder suplex in the corner. He's going to do that Blue Thunder Bomb, which is always just a treat to watch. And Kevin Owens has arguably my favorite move in wrestling, which is the pop-up powerbomb. And now he's using a variation of it where he's actually doing a sit-out pop-up powerbomb, which I wish was his finisher, because ending a match like that is glorious. Like, I love it. But, you can't always get what you want. I'm kind of asking for too much there. But it's great. And then the inevitable thing happens that everyone's expecting, was the Usos interfere. Jimmy and Jay come out. They mess up the match a little bit, because the referee obviously goes down by a Roman Reigns spear. But I do think that was pretty funny. I know it happens every match. It's become kind of like a trope now, a stereotype in a Roman Reigns championship match. Oh, the ref bump. But the way this one was really funny, because he spears him and then he just starts like complaining about it. He goes, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? But yeah, so the Usos come out. Reigns is obviously frustrated because, like, what are you guys doing out there? We had this match won anyway. We don't need your help. And he pushes Jimmy. He does the face, like the squash, put your whole hand in their face with his nice little red glove that Reigns always wears. Just throws him. He goes, hey, get out of here. And then Jay tries to calm him down, talk to him. But no, Jimmy's not having any of it. He finally snaps. Super kicks Roman in the face. A beautiful moment. That's the only way you could describe it. Jay's losing his mind because he's still the right-hand man and he wants things to be right in the family. So he goes, what's going on? Why'd you do that? And Jimmy finally says, I'm doing what you should have done a long time ago. This has been echoed in the storyline multiple times, because Sammy says it to Jay too, where he goes, I think the real reason you're frustrated and you're mad at me is because you see what I did and you wish you did it first. You hit Roman with the chair first. So I think this is all just good. It's very good long-term storytelling. And yep, Jay does another one. Reigns is out. Also, I forgot to mention too that they did super kick Solo by accident, which is why Reigns got really pissed as well. So then that's already done. They leave because now I think the Bloodline is officially, at least the Usos in the Bloodline, that's done. I mean, in terms of like they're not part of the Bloodline anymore. Now they're just the Usos. We'll see where that heads into in Money in the Bank, but they're not part of the Island of Relevancy anymore. They're part of the Ocean of Obscurity, as Michael Cole would say. And then yeah, so Owens and Sammy come back in. They do their stunner. Well, no. Sammy hits his haluva kick. They usually end it with stunner haluva kick, but I think Sammy just does his haluva kick, wins the match, and yeah. Reigns, there's a very nice visual where Sammy's holding up the belts in the corner and Reigns is just sitting down looking at him. And yeah, it could be described as the worst night in Roman Reigns' run as champion. It's funny to me that, his worst moment and night is the one where he didn't even defend his belts or lose. It's him seeing, he's losing a match, and it is a championship match, but tag team match. Not to demean the tag team titles in any shape or form, but, it's... I will say this, because I am kind of, overlooking the fact that it is a terrible night for him in terms of the Bloodline. He's lost the Usos, the tension between him and Solo is only rising by the minute. And now the guy who he tried to take in and, help out, and then eventually, who got fed up with him and, in his mind betrayed him, is standing tall over him. So looking at it through that lens, yes, it is the worst night in Roman Reigns' tenure as the Tribal Chief. And what a way to end the pay-per-view, really. I think what Night of Champions did super well, they aced it, was starting off the pay-per-view so, like, just so good. Starting off the pay-per-view with probably the best wrestling match with Rollins and Styles, and obviously for the Raw World Heavyweight Championship, the inaugural, Raw World Heavyweight Championship match, and then Rollins being the inaugural champion, and then ending it with the match that had the most writing on it. There was a lot writing on this match in a way in terms of storyline perspective, because it's, like I said, the biggest storyline in all of professional wrestling. So to have that close off the night was the best choice. And it was still, in terms of storytelling, it's still a great match. It's a formula that works, and it's the right formula you want to do. I think WWE is finally realizing that, hey, maybe like these out of nowhere weird plot twists in our stories just aren't cutting it anymore. Like, regardless of people maybe, can predict where this is going to go, it's fine. Because it's still going to get a reaction and people are still going to pop when they see it. So just a fantastic way to end the pay-per-view, really. Yeah, fantastic. And that was the card. That was the card for Night of Champions 2023. I usually like to do, at least with my rating system, I'm kind of going a little, W, obviously meaning nice little win, N meaning neutral, not too good, not too bad, and L obviously being, it's a loss, a stinker. And for this one, I'm seeing a light W. It is simple and clean. It is, in my opinion, the best Saudi Arabia pay-per-view that they've done so far. Because it finally felt like there was something to watch. The other times you do have title matches and you do have like spectacle, like, oh, here's Goldberg, yeah. Sorry. But this time it felt like there was a lot going on in terms of, storyline and in terms of kind of making a statement. They make a statement with the Rollins and Styles match. And they do Asuka and Belair and show that, hey, we kind of see that you guys want like something new in that regard in terms of the Raw women's title like picture. And they do that where Asuka wins. And then they do, I think Rhodes and Lesnar is a great, it's a great story so far. So doing that to go 1-1 is interesting because they can have an even better match at Money in the Bank, hopefully the best match. And yeah, obviously continuing the Bloodline storyline is a lot better. I mean, this match in particular, Owens and Sammy versus Reigns and Solo, how there was so much in terms of story riding on this match is, as much as I did, surprisingly, like Reigns versus Logan Paul at a Crown Jewel, this is just a lot better to have as a main event because the possibilities that can come out of it are like endless. Or maybe not endless, but there's just a lot of places the storyline could go, and it makes the storyline still feel fresh and just as interesting as how it started. So this Night of Champions 2023 was great. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Now, heading into Money in the Bank, I just have 3 things I want to say. Number 1, get LA Knight that briefcase. There were some times during this pay-per-view where they show certain wrestlers in the crowd because they don't have a match, but they want to show that they're there for support, they're there watching. This man, LA Knight, all he had to do was be on screen and stand up for a little bit. I don't even know if whether he was standing or sitting. He could do one of the two, and they were eating it up. This guy, he's special. He's special. Get him in that main event picture. Just try it. I think WWE is scared because they've always been a little scared of wrestlers that just get over organically. But LA Knight's the perfect guy for this kind of moment. Because the issue with a lot of other guys that they had that get organically is, Vince would always be like, oh, but he doesn't look like a champion. Or, this, and this. And luckily they still got over, but, it took a long time. And people, in retrospect, kind of are still mad about the fact that it took so long for them to get these moments that they loved. With LA Knight, that's starting to happen too, You can only prolong his inevitable, push for so long. Like, just get him that briefcase. Get him in, a good feud, because he keeps, he's winning a little bit more now, but, not any, meaningful matches. He's shown that he can wrestle, well, and he's a good in-ring wrestler, and he is arguably your best promo guy in WWE. That guy can, go out there in front of a mop stick and just light the place up. Somehow, make LA Knight versus the mop stick the main event of WrestleMania 40. He can do that for you. So yeah, get in the briefcase. 2, with the Bloodline, I don't think it's the best idea to do a Reigns title defense between any of the guys at Money in the Bank. And what I mean by that is I don't think Reigns versus Jimmy for the belt would be ideal, and neither would Reigns versus Jay. I think what I feel would be the best thing to do in Money in the Bank, which, it seems like the most optimal decision, and I kind of see it happening anyway. Like, I don't know, this feels like it's a decision WWE would make, because I don't know if they want Reigns to even do a title defense until SummerSlam, is, Reigns and Solo versus the Usos, Jimmy and Jay. And that's still going to be a great match. I think that will still get people invested. Obviously, the Usos just defected from the Bloodline. You have people glued to their seats saying, okay, what's going to happen next? Which I know we're going to get more of on Friday for Friday Night SmackDown. But, it's there. And so just do it. And whoever wins, wins. But it'll be a main attraction for Money in the Bank, aside from the ladder matches. This is one of the few times where I'll say, yeah, don't do a title defense, Reigns. As much as I want him to defend that title, it's fine. Don't do it here. Go do that tag team match and give us more great story. Give us more of that filet mignon you were talking about. And 3, this one I don't know if it'll happen, but I really hope so. After Money in the Bank, Rhodes versus Reigns, SummerSlam. Let Rhodes beat Lesnar at Money in the Bank. Not let him, obviously, give him that W. And get him that title shot. Give it to him. He deserves it. He's been through a lot. He needs to be the face of the company right now. Because Reigns has done his time. I'm sure Reigns would not mind finally going on his much-needed 3-month break or whatever. It's hard being champion. It is. That's what Triple H said at the beginning of the pay-per-view in the high package. Being a champion is more than a way of life. It is your life, and it's become Reigns' life. And I keep reading, sources are saying that he keeps, buckling up for that official, transition into Hollywood and this and that. But he can't do that if he's still champion. And when fans read that, all they're going to think is, wow, WWE again, having this guy being, the head honcho of their company, but he doesn't even want to be here exactly because he wants to be, doing Hollywood stuff. Which I know that's not true. I know Reigns, lives and breathes wrestling. But I know at the moment he probably wants to venture into other things. And he's not considered where his contract is at, which he negotiated, rightfully so, and in masterfully. I don't want to put my body on the line all the time anymore, and I think he's earned that. Of course, he's earned that. He's carried this company for a while, and now it's time to pass it along. Give it to Cody. I'm telling you now. I know people are gonna say, no, Dylan, you're wrong. Cody didn't deserve to win it at 39. He needs to earn it. He still needs to, you build him up. I disagree. Okay? The thing about wrestling is this. When you watch a movie, and that movie ends in a cliffhanger, and then you go, wow, that was crazy. Now I have to wait another 2 to 3 years to see where that story goes. Wrestling isn't like that. Wrestling is, the pay-per-view ended? Well, now we have Monday Night Raw. Oh, we have Friday Night SmackDown. Oh, and in a couple weeks, we have another pay-per-view. It never ends. People don't just get a break from it. It's all the time. So you can't use that. And I'm a fan of long-term storytelling. I'm an advocate for it. But there's only so much long-term storytelling you could do in wrestling because the format literally fights against it. So yeah, just give it to Reigns. No, don't give it to Reigns. Give it to Rhodes at SummerSlam. Let him win. Let him finally be the guy, the top guy. And give Reigns his break. Let him enjoy the fruits of his labor. That's all I got to say about that. Also, one quick side note that I forgot to mention at the beginning. Michael Cole does not know how to pronounce Bruno Sammartino. Someone please help this man, okay? He's a legend. He did a great job commentating those last 2 matches. Really putting his whole... just all his energy into he was yelling, and he was doing a great job. But come on. Production team, what's going on here? Sit Michael Cole down before the pay-per-view and go, okay, Bruno Sammartino. You know, he kept... I just think it was I felt bad for him. You know, he's not getting any younger, and you know he shouldn't have those mishaps. It's Michael Cole. Come on, give him some respect. But yeah, aside from that, were you entertained? What did you feel about Night of Champions 2023? Did you like it? Did you think it was a W? Were you neutral on it? Or did you just think it was a big fat goose egg? An L. A donut. Me personally, I thought it was good, but hey, let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know what you guys want for the next episode of the Are You Not Entertained podcast. What do you guys want me to talk about next? Do you want me to keep going with wrestling? You know, I can do... Spider-Verse comes out. I'm actually watching it this week, so if you guys want to hear a a review on that as well, I'd love to do that. Or any music out there you guys recommend to me, I'll give that a listen and then just talk about it. Hey, I'm for you guys. Trust me. I'm all about just hearing what you guys want and giving it to you. You know, man of the people, as I've said. So, thank you for tuning in. This has been truly a great first episode. I really enjoyed talking to you guys about Night of Champions and my unhealthy affinity for wrestling. Thank you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and peace.
Understand what I'm saying?